Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by the new Chrysler Corporation. We don't want to be the biggest. We just want to be the best. Sears, where you'll find great values. There's more for your life at Sears. And by AT&T, the more you hear, the better we sound.
If you're looking at video cassette recorders and you're confused by all your choices, just look at the most important feature of all, the picture. And Sony Betamax records a sharper picture than VHS. That's not just our opinion. In tests throughout the country, more people said the picture was sharper with Sony Betamax than VHS. So how many choices do you really have? Only one. Sony Betamax, a sharper picture.
There. That's Tom Lee's car. Tom wasn't a State Farm policyholder when we met, but he had a claim against one of my policyholders that started about here and went all the way over to there. Well, we smoothed things out for Tom, and he was pretty impressed. But that's not unusual. Ask your neighbors. Fast Fair Claim Service is one reason more of your neighbors insure with State Farm than anyone else. Ask anyone. If you know Tom Lee, ask him.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Making copies is a lot like breeding thoroughbreds. Start with a good line and you'll produce winners. Like Canon's line of personal copiers with interchangeable cartridges, so I can copy in more colors than ever before. 6. The new PC-25 even reduces and enlarges and makes copies up to legal size. Canon's PC-10, 20, and new 25. Ooh, I love it when I pick a winner. For information, call toll-free.
Next Saturday on CBS Sports, a key Big Ten showdown. Jack Trudeau and defending conference champion Illinois take on Chuck Long and 14th-ranked Iowa. Then, on CBS Sports Saturday, Jerry Cooney, once the top heavyweight contender, returns to the ring for the first time in more than 2 years against unbeaten Phil Brown. And you'll see a world-class field in the first-ever New York Triathlon. Plus the Marlboro Cup and more next Saturday on CBS Sports.
Welcome back to New York. I'm with two guys who are ready to play right now. Irv Cross and Jimmy Brown. They're in better shape than they were with the Eagles and Browns. You know, we're going into San Francisco, Jim. It just reminded me, Wendell Tyler was picked up from the Rams. What do you think of Wendell as a running back?
Well, I think Wendell has tremendous natural talents. I think that he's never been coached correctly. And unfortunately, you know, he is a fumbler in a certain sense. In key situations, that can be corrected if some coach knew what to do.
What would you tell him to do?
I don't have time to say it on the program, but it would be very simple. He'd have to be taught when to hold the ball in a certain way and when not to. Because Walter Payton carries it out here, but he doesn't have the same problem because he's intelligent enough to know when to hold it out and when to pull it in.
So it's timing?
Yes, and also understanding the full game, the philosophy of the game.
Jim, let's take everybody to the scoreboard now, get them up to date. We got some other running backs we'll ask you about as we go along. As you know, of course, the 49ers, 2 touchdown passes by Matt Cavanaugh. They do not miss Joe Montana that much. They're dominating the Eagles, 14-6. Jets are all over Buffalo, and the wind up in Buffalo, 21-10 right now. The Rams and Cincinnati have just started the second half. Eric Dickerson has the only touchdown. Jim, what do you think of Eric?
I think he's the best in the game right now. Tremendous back, great balance, great speed, great rhythm. The only thing, he might be a little soft at sometimes. I think John Robinson can take care of that.
All right. Now, St. Louis and New Orleans. And, Herb, we have another one of those fullback option plays to talk about in this game.
We're seeing this play more and more this year, Brent. Hokie Kaijon, the halfback here, takes a pitch to his right, stands up and tosses a 34-yard pass to Wayne Wilson. Now, the reason that's effective is because you can suck those linebackers up there. Of course, Todd had a pretty good day, 6 for 15, 139 yards, and he just took a break there, having guys throw that touchdown pass for him. But the Cardinals come right back. Neil Lomax looking for his back. Earl Farrell coming out of the backfield for an 11-yard strike, and the Cardinals have the ability, Brent, to come back quickly.
Now, Houston and Atlanta, Irv, and Houston's going to have to come back. Warren Moon has just tossed a touchdown pass, but the Falcons scored the first 3 times they handled the ball, 21-10 now in the third quarter of that game. Minnesota and Detroit seesaw, and Vikings lead it 2 Jan Stenerud field goals, 16-14 there at the half of that game. Pittsburgh and Cleveland had a nasty day, and the Browns, oh, how they could use a big running back with number 32 in that one. Steelers lead it by 7. Sam Washington's 5th interception of the day put him on the board. Now, Washington ahead of New England. They started the third quarter. Jim, how about John Riggins? Does he appeal to you at all?
Oh, yes. The last 3 years, John has been the most intense football player, I guess, in the league. ball control, nobody compared to him. You watch him right here, great blocking right here, but you see him going forward, you see the power. Now, the execution blocking-wise is great. You see the power, he runs over people, and he has that great speed that very few people realize that he has.
You know, to update running back situations, Pete Johnson was traded to Miami. He cleared his physical exam. He will be able to play for the Dolphins. And then just moments ago, the big back who was expected to replace Johnson, Larry Kennebrew for the Bengals, he got into the end zone. Extra point was kicked now, and Cincinnati has tied 7-7. Jim, it amazes me that the big backs in the league are able to take as much punishment as they do. I mean, they get whacked coming up the middle there.
Well, it amazes me, too, because, well, a lot of them are getting hurt now because I think the conditioning program is great, yet, as I said earlier, and I hate to say it, there is a cocaine problem within the league, and you cannot play under the influence of cocaine.
Can they cure the cocaine problem, Jim? If players like you, former players, continue to speak up about it?
I think so. That's why I'm speaking up, because I think Cleveland has a great program there. Warfield is doing a wonderful job, and I think they've helped quite a few of their players.
All right. The National Football League today continues on CBS after these messages from your local stations.
Tomorrow, the unforgettable new CBS season begins with an electrifying new miniseries.
Show me a man who cannot paint a naked woman, and I show you a man who cannot paint.
From decadent Paris of the 1920s to high-fashion New York today, unfolds a powerful story of sexual intrigue and one man's unspeakable shame.
Did you ever think about all the people that died because of you?
Stacey Keach, Stephanie Powers, Lee Remick, and Robert Urich star in Judith Krantz's Mistral's Daughter.
This is CBS.
Just how far does your frequent flyer program expect you to go? To get 6 upgrades and a free trip on United, it's 110,000 miles. On American, it's 122,000, halfway to the moon. But Western Airlines Travel Pass 2 gives you 6 first-class upgrades and a free trip to places like Hawaii or Mexico in just 40,000 miles. So if you're not flying Western, you've got to be a real space cadet.
It wasn't working. Our winery, owned by a big corporation 3,000 miles away. They could never have the same feeling about Colony we have. We live here and make the wine. That's why we scraped together everything we had and bought our winery back. To make Colony wines that won't take a back seat to anyone. Not Almaden, not Parmesan, not anyone. When something's your own, you just take more pride in it. Taste Colony. You'll see what I mean.
Hey, Dad. You know the dog stars 26 times brighter than the sun? Mary gave me half her sandwich today.
Oh, yeah?
Did you know that 3,948 local Signetics employees are celebrating their commitment to zero defects?
You're kidding. Signetics?
Yep.
The 6th largest maker of integrated circuits in the world, and climbing fast. Signetics. We're not kidding. Exclusive interview with the Jacksons, Monday at 7:30.
You know, back in the 60s when Vince Lombardi's Packers were tearing up the National Football League, the Superman of their defense was a balding middle linebacker by the name of Ray Nitschke. Now, Ray is still close to the Packers these days, but right now he's playing the role of Clark Kent on Green Bay's version of the Daily Planet, as Irv Cross tells us in this Legends of the Game profile.
Each week during the NFL season, 25,000 copies of the Green Bay Packer Report roll off this machine behind me and route to newsstands and homes all over the Midwest. The paper's publisher has a vested interest in the Packers. Through 15 professional seasons and a pair of Super Bowl victories, he was their middle linebacker. A real-life Clark Kent, right down to his horn-rimmed glasses, whose mild-mannered disposition disappeared the moment he stepped onto a football field. I give you the editor-in-chief of the Green Bay Packer Daily Planet, Hall of Famer Ray Nitschke. Every defense has a leader, and Green Bay, number 66, was the man.
Coach Lombardi and our defense coach would come up to me and say, Ray, let's get these guys going, you know, just before the ball game, to get the tempo, get the guys emotionally aroused early in the game. And so really early in the ball game, I was hoping that they run the play right at me because I wanted to make that first hit and get the other guys fired up.
He played every down with a vengeance, even on the Green Bay practice field.
When you went to Blognitsky, you knew you had to scrimmage. Otherwise, you might get one of those big forearms in your teeth and come off with your ears ringing.
Nitschke delighted in good, clean contact, and occasionally he'd sneak in a good, swift kick. I remember an interview after one of your playoff games with Tom Brookshire. He called you an animal. What was your reaction to that?
Well, I didn't take it too kindly. You know, in that, boy, you know, the position of playing linebacker, you got to be real aggressive and you got to be tough and you got to be mean on the field. And Brookshire said it, the Green Bay Animal. He said, here, I want you to meet the Green Bay Animal. So I was really hurt by that. But I know where Tommy was coming from. I knew he was making it as a compliment that I was aggressive, that I was trying to play hard, and that I was as mean as I possibly could on the field.
When it comes to middle linebackers, the publisher of Green Bay's Daily Planet takes a strong editorial position.
I'd rate right up there in the top, I think. You know, that's the way, you know, when I went on the football field, Irv Cross, I was the best football player on the field. So what I'm saying is that I don't think there's anybody been any better than Ray Nitschke.
I think he was right. I'll tell you, the greatest one-on-one duels I ever saw. Mike Ditka coming off the line of scrimmage and trying to crash down to get Nitschke out of every play when the Bears and Packers would meet up.
Yeah, those are real wars, you know, Brent, but he said he was never injured because as a middle linebacker, he was stepping forward, trying to stay away from that contact. Nobody got him.
All right, I'll send you back to the stadium now in the game you're enjoying on CBS.